So here I am at the beginning of my trip to Spain and Cuba, and I am in the very centre of Madrid. It's called Plaza Mayor. And what I'm going to do over the next few days is explore Madrid. Maybe get out the city as well, Toledo, Sevilla, somewhere like that, and then on to Cuba. I have to say, so far, I'm quite impressed with it. Let's see what we can find. And here we are at Madrid Cathedral. It's absolutely huge. And across the road from it, from the spiritual power, is the temporal power, the Royal Palace. I'm now at Atocha station, which is where I'm going to be catching a train in about half an hour's time. But before I do that, there's something I really want to see, because this is the station that was bombed in 2004. It might look as if I'm in the middle of a botanical gardens or a jungle now, and in a way I am, but what I really like, one of the things that I wanted to see here, is what they've done with the old train shed. I mean, the Atocha station still exists. I'm catching a train from it in a minute. But they've taken the old train shed and they've made it as beautiful botanical gardens. And I really like it. The only problem is it's fenced off at the moment. But yeah, impressed. So I'm now on my trip to Toledo on one of Spain's new high-speed trains. We're leaving from Atocha station. Absolutely amazing collection of high-speed trains in an amazing new station. And Madrid's only been the capital since the 17th century, and before that Toledo was far more important, so should be quite a bit of history. If I'm interested. But for now, let's sit back and enjoy the journey.
desea un agradable viaje. Welcome on board this train travelling to Toledo. You are kindly requested to turn down the volume of your mobile phones, which should only be used between coaches. Personales. Gracias. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Toledo. Please remain seated until the train has come to a complete stop, and make sure to take all your personal belongings. Renfe thanks you for travelling with us and looks forward to welcoming you on board again.
And so I am now in Toledo. Before we go into the city itself, what I have to say is that this is one of the most incredible railway stations I have ever set foot in. If the rest of Toledo is as good as its railway station, then it will be an amazing place indeed. For your information, apparently this was built in 1919. The picture there shows the inauguration. I've just spent about half an hour, maybe a bit longer, just wandering through the streets of Toledo, I have to say, it's an incredibly beautiful place, really atmospheric, and even though I know it's very touristy these days, and I know it's all been tarted up and there's probably only very rich people that live here, it still is just a really incredible city. And it reminds me of why I love Europe so much, because all over Europe you get these cities that just breathe the past. They breathe hundreds of thousands of years of different layers of occupiers, of cultures on top of one another. I passed a church that I am certain, used to be a mosque just by the shape of it, the general design. And actually, when I did look on the plan, it was called the Mezquito de las Torneras, which means the Mosque of the Torneras, whatever the Torneras are. And it's amazing to think that the Moors, the Berbers, probably first really made this into a city. And you can see their arches everywhere, but then you can also see shadows of Romanesque architecture, Gothic architecture, classical architecture. Really is a cultural mix. And I want to explore a bit more of that, but in the meantime I'm just sat here overlooking an incredible view and just enjoying Toledo. The spiritual religious tolerance and multiculturalism that I mentioned earlier is being celebrated here in this building. This building was originally a Sephardi synagogue, and then it later became a church. It's now a museum, and it is a really incredibly decorated place. I don't know what happened when it was a church. Obviously the Inquisition kind of banned Judaism, so we weren't always that tolerant. I assume the walls were just whitewashed over and then painted. Or maybe these decorations were preserved. I don't know, but whatever the case, what we've got today is absolutely unbelievable. Hola. So I'm at the end of my day in Toledo today, my first full day in Spain, and I'm absolutely knackered from walking around. I think this is the first proper hardcore walking I've had since Oslo, and Toledo's all up and down, and by God I really feel it, but it's good, that's healthy. As I said earlier, I love that city, just really, really beautiful. Yeah, it started up, I know that. Yeah, it's probably living in, only very rich people live there, but I really liked it. What I want to talk about is just kind of my experience since then, because what I did is I booked onto a train at 7 o'clock and I kind of finished everything I had to do by about 4:30. So I thought what I come do is go down to where the railway station is, the cheaper part of town, and have some tapas, because tapas is something that I've been wanting to explore. I did try it a bit years ago when we were in Malaga, but I don't really understand it, so I've been having a really good go at trying to understand it. And I went to this place, I've taken a photo of it, and it was just a really good experience. I had probably 6 or 7 dishes. There was just aubergine was one, there was a fried fish dish, there was just olives, there was anchovies, and there was a couple more. One that was really interesting was the tortilla España, which is some kind of like rice and potato cake, which looks stodgy and hardcore, but it was really, really nice. And yeah, I'll be trying that again. But yeah, I was just really impressed. And I had 3 beers with it, Mano beers, ended by a coffee, and the bill at the end was €11.30, which I just thought, well, that's really quite reasonable considering there were 3 admittedly small beers, but nonetheless. So yeah, so maybe that's the way forward to go, because I am thinking, perhaps for the future, I mentioned walking earlier, I do want to walk Santiago de Compostela, And so getting a feel for how things are done in Spain would be helpful for that. Maybe tapas is the way. I did leave there before I had to, because I wanted to just come back to this railway station buffet, because it is the most beautiful buffet I've ever been in one of the most beautiful railway stations. I actually found there's another room, so I'm in a small private room at the moment, stuck onto the side. There's nobody else here, but it's just gorgeous. There's tiles everywhere, there's carved wood ceilings, and I just think, do you know what an amazing place to just sit and have a beer and a sandwich and wait for your train. So that's me, over and out from Toledo. Check a load of this. Look at these tiles. I'm in the Museum of the Americas at the moment, and the reason I really wanted to come here is I've had an interest in South and Central America ever since I was a kid, ever since I watched Mysterious Cities of Gold. But in Britain we've got lots of great museums, but we are kind of thin on the ground with South American stuff, probably because that was one of the few areas we didn't really colonise very much. But there's some incredible stuff in here. I've seen lots of Inca gold and stuff like that, but I'm really impressed to see this. And this is a quipu, which was the Inca form of writing. I don't think anyone has ever actually deciphered it yet, but they wrote using knots. And I remember these from Mysterious Cities of Gold. But even more incredible are these Aztec written documents with hieroglyphics. And again, I remember something very, very similar in Mysterious Cities of Gold. And just aren't they amazing? Aren't they absolutely incredible? And I don't know what tale that's telling, but it is absolutely brilliant. So my only fault with this museum is there's no explanation in English whatsoever. But what it's doing is it's opening my eyes to a whole new area of civilizations, and of course preparing me for going to Cuba, which is my first trip to the Americas. And it's quite apt because the Caribbean islands were where the Spanish first landed, and also Havana was almost the main staging post for all the booty that they got from across the Americas to be transported to Europe. Anyway, over and out. Hola. So this is my last video from Spain, from Madrid, before I got on the plane to Cuba. Just want to reflect on what I've seen over the last few days. To be honest with you, I have really enjoyed it. Madrid's a nice city. It's far more intimate and far more friendlier. I think far friendlier than I expected. The food is excellent. I really got into the tapas thing. Would I come back? As a city, I think I've seen what I want to see, but I probably would come back because there's some really great day trips to go from Madrid, like Segovia and Sevilla, that I didn't have time for. All in all, I mean, what's just kept coming back to me is how much I do want to walk the Camino and get to know Spain better. So yeah, I can see me perhaps being here one day, although not from Madrid per se. But now I'm looking forward to Cuba. I don't know what to expect. I've been reading a few books now, getting excited. We shall see. I think that's my plane over there.